always had what I call Alzheimer's as a child going forward. I have a very poor memory. I can't remember things that most people can. I have a very, very, very poor memory. And so the kind of intelligence I have is a little bit different than other people. I remember big blocks of things. So when they gave me a standardized test, I didn't do very well, but when they gave me an IQ test, I tested extremely well. So I wound up skipping the 5th grade, and that was the most important grade for learning a band instrument. So when I got into 6th, I asked my mom, "Hey, Mom, I see my friends that I am starting to sit with at lunch play a band instrument, and I would like to do that." And she said, "Well, we'll have to see." So one of my friends lived on a farm, and her name was Kathleen. And Kathleen and I became friends, and we would hang out on the weekends, and her family had a dairy farm. And her family taught me how to put the machines onto the cows and to milk the cows. And then we would take a pail of milk, and we would skim off the cream on the top, and we would use it for our cereal in the morning. And we had the best time. It was a big adventure going from living in the downtown Chicago to being on a farm and learning how to milk cows. It was really cool. One of the things that was really cool about Kathleen was that she played the clarinet. And after we would milk the cows, we would take out this case, and it had all these shiny buttons. And she would put it together, and it would be like this jewel tone experience of how do you assemble this instrument and get it to make a sound. Let me show you. So Kathleen would take out her clarinet, and she would show me each of the parts with all of the holes. And I would look at the keys with this mystery because they were shiny. And I thought it was just the coolest looking thing, right? And each part had all of these amazing like artwork. Look at how pretty this instrument is. It's like art, right? It's just so beautiful. And she would teach me how to put it together, right? Because the bridge had to line up. And when I was a beginner, it was the coolest thing, learning how to line the bridge up and feeling like this instrument went together in such a cool way. And being able to learn how to put the bell on, that was so much fun. And you had to have a barrel to be able to play it. So you put the barrel on. And then, of course, this thing doesn't play at all, even if you can put the keys down, without a mouthpiece, right? Because you have to have a mouthpiece to be able to do this, right? And it has to have a reed on it, and you have to know how to play this thing, right? And put it onto the instrument itself. And the reed has to go in your mouth. So like when you're 10, the idea of like, because you always have, suckers or lollipops or, you always have stuff you put in your mouth, ice cream cones and things. So like getting to suck on something and that this thing is going to make a sound. And then you have to learn how to put the reed on the mouthpiece without breaking it. And then that magical moment. And of course, nothing comes out at first, and you squeak, and you make all these funny sounds. That's when the magic begins, because all of a sudden you realize that there's something inside of you that wants to come out, and it just inspires you to push these buttons down, and as you do, it's almost like liquid emotion starts coming out of you. And it's hard to explain what happens when you play a wind instrument for the first time, but there's magic in feeling like your breath becomes joy or music, or it becomes anger, or it becomes passion, or it becomes what you feel inside of you. And it's the coolest thing.
Jeff is a trumpet player.
which is a wonderful thing. It's a wind instrument, and we are so happy to have you tell us your story about how you began to play the trumpet.
I have to have a good memory. I've been doing it so long. I started playing the trumpet when I was 9 years old and haven't set it down since. The way I got to it, however, was more really out of health, I guess you could say, because I had asthma as a child,
Hmm.
and I recall my parents taking me to the doctor and say, "Well, what can we do?" And the doctor said, "Well, you should do, one or two things. One is to swim." And they looked at each other and they said, "Well, we don't have a swimming pool in our town of 400." And then they said, "Well, he should play a wind instrument." And so that coincided with they were bringing band instruments to try out for the fourth grade class. And so I got in line and selected the trumpet. And what it had to do, just out of necessity, was it taught me how to breathe more effectively, more efficiently. And I had success with that at a very young age. And of course, success encouraged me to practice more and to play more. And so by the time I got to seventh grade, I was playing lead trumpet in the high school jazz band in this small Iowa community. And so I continued to play throughout high school and then went on to college with a music scholarship. And soon discovered that, I wanted something from a career path more than just not limiting myself to being a musician. I had other things I wanted to do. And so I switched majors, and at that time, shortly thereafter, the dean of the music school reached out to my parents and myself, and they said, "There's the matter of the scholarship." And they made the deal. They said, "Well, as long as your son can make that first jazz band, he can keep his scholarship." And my father, I recall, said to me, "You're going to make that band if you want to stay in college. And the second thing you're going to do is promise me that when you're done with the business career that you want to have, that you got to make sure that you return to your passion and play the trumpet, and do it not because you need to make a living at it." And so I always remembered that. And as I went on throughout my career, I was fortunate to play in multiple cities, literally around the world, as my career took me to those cities. When I was able to step away in 2015, moved to the Hilton Head, South Carolina area, and among other things, I lead an 18-piece big band. And that big band is not only made up of some of the best musicians in the region, but we also play for a variety of nonprofit causes. And I've been able to use my business skills to help these nonprofits raise funds and awareness. And since that time, we've just passed the $500,000 mark here a couple of months ago. So I've been able to essentially blend business with music. It was not something I set out to do, but the path found me, so to speak. And as I look back, I don't know that I influenced anything. It just kind of very organically grew on me, and now it's really defines who I am.
Hmm. So it was easy for you to put in the effort because it was easy to get the result. In other words, it was easy to see the transformation. In other words, it was worth it because you could easily see the translation of what the effort would do.
I don't know about easy. I think it was easier. It was more evident to me, and I could tell that. For example, when you grow up, there's a lot of opportunities to make good and bad decisions, and I credit music for helping me to make the right decisions because when I had a great day, couldn't wait to come home and play my horn, and I would, I'd play some up tempo jazz, or high register stuff. Or when I had a bad day, I would come home and I'd play some blues. And I it gave me a way to express myself and to get the feelings out, as opposed to bottling things up within me, or looking for some other way to satisfy a feeling I might be having. I just recall that was on more than one occasion I made the right decision to just keep playing my horn.
I mean, like, how did it make you? It must have been like an incredible euphoric high to play all these instruments. What was it that made you want to do this? Like, tell me about that experience. Like, what was it that made that connection for you?
I think I just had so much fun. It's like between the different types of music and people that I was playing with, it was just I was playing with all my friends, and it was something that I enjoyed. So, I mean, it wasn't that I was bad in school otherwise. It was just that was just the more fun part of school for me. And well, in high school, I actually started taking summer classes so that I could take more music classes during the year.
That's so funny.
But yeah, so that kind of so that was my junior high, that kind of springballed into high school. And then I went from I thought I was going to play saxophone in the marching band, and that was not the case. My high school band director found out that I played the trap set in the jazz band, and so he wanted me to play the toms or the quads in marching band. So I was like, okay, let's do this. And I just figured, okay, well, when marching band season was over, I'd go back to symphonic band and play the sax. So I was like, that was what I figured was going to happen, and that didn't happen either. Symphony season came up and marching band was over, and he's like, hey, you've done so well with all these other instruments. I really need a bassoonist. Do you think you could figure this out? And I'm like, again, I was just like, well, sure, just give me a fingering chart, show me how to put this thing together. And it kind of went from there.
I mean, what is it that it doesn't intimidate you at all? Like, can you describe for anyone listening what it's like for you to just pick something up and try to figure it out? Like, what is it? What is it about being able to do this? Because for a lot of people that are listening, they're like completely intimidated by the thought of just picking up any of these instruments and trying. Can you tell the audience what makes you just say,
I,
jump in head first?
I think I think what scares a lot of people is I think they're concerned about reading music. Like, can they read the music? It's like, well, yeah, you have to be able to do that. That's unquestionable. But it actually got to the point where it's like my brain connects in a different way, I guess. So I can look at the music and I can understand where my fingers need to go for that note for that particular instrument. Now, if we have to stop and check in a note during, if a chord sounds weird, I still have to go through and like, okay, that's E, that's A, that's, I have to still do the check, the FACE and EGAD and, all that stuff. It's like, but I just know that when I'm playing, it's like my brain just automatically connects from my head to my fingers, and I just know what I'm supposed to do.
And there's also the part of it of the blowing part of it and the sound part of it. And how do you feel about putting those things together? Like, how does that work for you?
I think I just connect that as being a singer, having had the vocal experience as well. So then knowing what the instrument is supposed to sound like, I just try to make sure that I keep that sound. So it's not necessarily something that I think about anymore. It's just something that just happens.
You're a singer. If you've sang in your background, singing is a good start to playing a wind instrument.
I feel like, yeah, I think so. Because one, you have that recognition of what the note is and what it's supposed to sound like. You should be able, if you're a good singer, you should be able to tell if a note is flat or if a note is sharp, or if you need to, adjust to make sure that you're singing in the proper tone. To be able to adjust in the moment helps you to know what you need to do. So then when you're doing that as an instrumentalist, okay, you can only do so much putting the fingers in the right place. But if you're concentrating and you're thinking about it and you're focusing on what that note is supposed to be, and you understand what's going on around you, then you're gonna adjust that naturally some other way. So through your mouthpiece or through your like you said, the embouchure, how much wind you're pushing through forth.
The embouchure being the shape of your face that you have to make a sound on the instrument.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right. There's something about that pitch thing. When you lock into your pitch and you can sing together, there's something that opens up like the whole group.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a feeling that unless you've had that feeling, you can't describe it. I remember I had one student, a saxophone student, beginner, and after about 5 or 6 weeks of lessons, the father calls me up and he's just livid. What are you doing? What kind of teaching is going on here? My kid brought this saxophone home and he can only play 3 notes and he honks and he squeaks and it just sounds terrible. I let him get it off his chest, and I started explaining what we were doing and everything. Well, that kid stayed in the program, and he actually practiced because his dad was sitting on him, and that was like before the Christmas concert. Then we fast forward to the spring concert, and I had all the kids go home and take a song that was challenging in December for them, but was real easy now in May. And I said, teach one of your parents how to play that song on your instrument. And I had them come down and play it at the concert.
Oh my God, really?
This dad comes with his kid's saxophone around his neck, and he said, I owe you a huge apology. This is so much harder than I ever thought. I've been playing this thing for 8 weeks, and all I can do is play 3 notes and honk and squeak. And
Wow.
you know, people don't know what's involved. I tell parents at the concert, I say, look what your kid is doing here. They have to deal physically with the instrument, wiggle their fingers, blow, lips, tongue, air, posture, all of that stuff.
Right.
They have to read all these squigglies on the page and understand what all that stuff means. They have to listen to each other and make adjustments as it's happening live on the fly. They have to follow me and waving my stick in their face.
Right.
And they have to do all of that while all of you are looking at them.
Right.
It takes great courage and a lot of work. And isn't it so nice to see kids involved in such a healthy activity? Beats hanging out at the 7-Eleven, you know?
Absolutely. If somebody was listening to this podcast and really inspired by what you're talking about, what would you say to them to get them to try, like that dad, to play a wind instrument right now?
Well, I tell him if he wants to come and join the class, I'll do it for no charge. That's one draw. And most of them are hesitant. Some of them say, I used to play trumpet when I was in grade school. And I said, well, do you still have the trumpet? Why don't you get it out? Come join us. Just for kicks, for a hoot, you know? And the kids always loved that. I had a principal take lessons on trumpet one time, and the kids loved it, you know? Yeah.
It would be really cool to have kids and adults, whether they're their parents or a relative, take a lesson with them on a regular basis, because I think it's a great equalizer.
Yes. You know, the Suzuki method does that.
Oh, do they?
The parents have to be present during all the lessons
Oh,
so
okay.
they can understand how to guide their child at home with their practice.
Well, I mean, participate. Like,
Well, okay. I think that's great.
that would be cool, is to have more adults just participate with kids, because then they would start to understand that the language defies age,
Absolutely. It does.
which means that you could be 60 years old and be 10 again, right? In terms of this, if you want to have that experience, go for it. Yeah.
You know, why not? But yeah, AI is here. I mean, it's like a giant pink elephant in the room. We can't ignore it, right? I haven't really found any use for it in my teaching at this point. I'm really just teaching private instruction. But if there's a way that it would make, you know, certain things easier for me in terms of preparing music, I'm here for it. Otherwise, I don't really see myself utilizing it for too much. But if people can utilize it to their benefit, I'm here for it. But like I see when people are, complaining about AI generated art and that sort of thing. I mean, it's really hard to fight it. I mean, we've been trying to fight it in terms of our music being, pirated and streamed and all that kind of stuff. So it's just like another level of this stuff, right? I mean, you got 1 million plays on Spotify, but it's all like fractions of a penny, so you get $2 or whatever. It's sadly untenable. So what are you going to do? I mean, it's hard to fight those big systems like that. So the only thing that I have really power over is what I can do on the instrument and what I can say as a person. No.
Is that really the point of music and in terms of connecting to humanity is to be a person and to let people see you and know you and to build
Yes.
your communities and your relationships. And so that's how you fight AI, in my opinion, is by being,
Absolutely. I'm right with you.
you know,
Community,
it's community.
humanity, those were the things that we were missing during COVID. So it's important we don't forget that, you know.
Yeah. If somebody was listening to this podcast and really amazed by your story, what would you tell them to play a wind instrument right now?
Well, I think there's a certain sense of power in the fact that, especially when it comes to a wind instrument, you are putting your breath, your soul, your body into this tube, right? This tube, and it's what comes out is your voice. The tube, the instrument, this is just the vehicle of expression, or the medium, if you will. It's you that's the one who is generating all of the energy, the sound, the feeling, the emotion, all of that. That's coming from you. I'm telling you, there's nothing that beats that feeling in this world. I mean, there's a couple things that come close, For me, I'm like super into long distance running. So like if I'm running a race and when I cross that finish line, there's really not a lot of things that come close to that. But I have to say, it's like I get that same feeling when I play an instrument, and you get that kickback. I don't know. That's what I call it. There's a kickback that I get when I play the saxophone that I just don't get if I sit at the piano. And again, everyone connects to the music in a different way. But as far as a wind instrument goes, it's very, very unique in that you get to breathe into this thing and then music comes out of it. Like, how cool is that?
Yeah, I think my journey with all of that speaks to how things can evolve within yourself in a way that what you find fulfilling and what you're passionate about, based on what you are doing, but also what's available and out there. And that also speaks to that you don't really need to box yourself into an expectation that you maybe use that for yourself or that you see other people. I think our industry is really not in a bad way, but elitist minded that you have to be the best to succeed in order to do XYZ. And I think we are seeing that break down a little bit, just kind of in conjunction with how culture in general is evolving, because you don't need to fit into these boxes to be successful. There's so many ways that you can use your personal form of art and your expression of art to still succeed and be fulfilled, feel fulfilled for yourself, and also support yourself and your family in so many ways.
And where do you think the line or the time is for an artist or a musician to realize that it's very important to obviously feel fulfilled, but it's also very important for those you serve to feel fulfilled?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if I've really ever thought about that, to be honest, and I probably should. But I think that one, you have to take care of yourself. You have to make sure that you are not being true to yourself and what your needs are. when it comes to especially trying to accommodate and portray yourself in a field. Like if you're in a, for example, and a lot of this has kind of come around recently in the past few years, if you're in a toxic group, if you're having experiences in an orchestra that are making you not feel safe, of course, but if you're not enjoying what you're doing, I don't think that's a cue to pull the plug, but it's a good cue to maybe start to think about what is not working here and what would it look like on at the end of this journey? What do I want it to look like? And that might be some sort of change that needs to happen on a grander scale in a group that you're in, and maybe you can help facilitate something like that. But if it's something where it's specific to how this orchestra is functioning, and it's not working for me, the culture here, the people here, regardless of who, we don't need to play a blame game, but regardless of who, is inciting any of that or making that resonate, take a chance to look at, okay, what else is out there and what can I start to look for? And I don't think that you should ever necessarily sacrifice your well-being and what you in being true to yourself and giving back that art.
So then what happened?
At the beginning, I made a very fast progress. Yeah, that's good. I guess maybe I had some nature like talent, or maybe it was just because not so many kids in my city choose clarinet as their instrument. So I quickly got many chances to play solos in some community events. These experiences made me more confident. And then something really special like happened. I think because of the clarinet, I have changed a lot. I should say I was no longer so shy, and I think the performance experience helped me make a lot of friends and become more outgoing. So music gave me a way to talk to people and share my feeling without needing uh, a lot of words. I was accepted into a university in China where I studied music, learning how to play with small groups and big orchestra seriously. And after that, I was very, very lucky to be accepted into the Central Conservatory of Music in Beijing, which is the top music school in China. So I go there to study for my master degree. Yeah. So in Central Conservatory of Music, I have learned a lot from my professors. They are amazing, believe me, and from my classmates. And also they are very competitive. I think it opened a new world for me, not just like playing music better, but thinking deeper about music. And after I graduate from my master degree, I got a principal clarinet position in an orchestra in Beijing, and I also started teaching at university. Finally, I choose teaching as my final job because I loved helping young people, young students to find their voice through music, just like I found mine. And after teaching for 9 years, I felt, yeah, maybe I need to keep learning. So uh, so I can got more ability to help my students better in the
Right.
future. Yeah. So that's the main reason I decided to come to the United States to continue studying, growing, and developing my career in the future. Yeah.
And was it presumed that you would just go on in music when you were recognized as a fine performer? And did you just accept that, or were you as excited and encouraging like you were with your family when you chose the instrument? How did you make that big decision? Such a big decision to pick a career in music.
Yeah, I think it happens to me smoothly. Like I just practice and then I got some opportunities. Then I go to that opportunities and then it go on and go on. So I don't think I really pick up clarinet. I think it's clarinet picked me. So
So then in fifth grade, my parents, they went out to the music store without me. They came back with a Vito clarinet
Yeah.
and a fabulous beginning clarinet. I played it all the way through marching band, right?
Yeah.
And then a music stand and the nicest quality, diamond-shaped wooden metronome.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they know what's important, right? Yeah, that's it. You can see it. You can anticipate. So now I start fifth grade band, but I was not happy.
Why?
It was once a week at lunchtime for half an hour on the stage in the cafeteria. And all we ever learned was Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And we didn't even learn how to tongue or, do anything like that. So I was bored. And I
Yeah.
used to actually put my clarinet like behind the door or something at home so I wouldn't have to take it to school on band day. But having my mom right there, she always knew when it was band day, here you go. So I couldn't like skip. And so at the end of the year, we played Twinkle Twinkle Little Star at the school carnival, and that was it. But in our school district, they had summer school
Yeah.
for enrichment classes only. So that summer, everybody in the neighborhood took it. They sent buses out, and we took everything from, typing to wood shop, and that's where I actually learned to type and band. So I took sixth grade band, but this was taught by our middle school band director. All the sixth graders together, and it was really fun. And so when the school year started in the fall, I'm looking forward to be with my buddies, but
Yeah.
my band director put me in the seventh and eighth grade band.
Oh,
I was the only sixth grader in it. He saw something,
yeah.
and I don't know what, but by the end of that year, I was at the top of the first clarinet section.
Oh my gosh.
And
And
then
you hadn't taken private lessons or
no private. He was
nothing?
trying to get my parents to give me private lessons, and you know what they said?
What?
Why should she have private lessons? She's already first chair,
Oh my gosh.
and they're musicians.
Yeah.
Go figure. So it was at the end of eighth grade that I decided that I wanted to major in music
Oh my gosh.
in college. And it was just like internal, I knew.
Huh.
That was my calling. And because I heard that you can keep playing your instrument and get a college degree for doing what you're going to do anyway and for what you love. And I mean, I've actually have to get a tissue because it was life-changing.
It's like, what is it that triggered your sureness? Was it that you were so surprised by how good you were?
Well, all
Or
of that it changes you. My grades were always good, but they were like now
really good?
really good. My just learning was better. Everything, you feel good here. You have wonderful friends. The teacher, very highly accomplished, master of music degree, and the suit and tie every day teachers. I mean, I grew up in the
Right.
60s, right? In the 70s.
Right.
And no nonsense. And boy, we knew how to count. We knew how to do this. Every week we had like lessons where you would move up a chair,
Yeah.
so we had to practice,
Yeah.
I was like, I think I want to play clarinet just because of the range. Like, it was so cool to me that just how wide the range was from the low F to the, I don't even know if you even made it to the high like G, but I was just impressed immediately by the range. And the only other instrument I was interested in at the time was probably violin, but it just didn't speak to me the way that clarinet did.
Did you get to try it, or was it just they played for you and you had to choose?
It was just play for you, and then you just list down your like top two choices, and then you hear back from them. And I think if there was like too many of one instrument, they would have you do the second one. But I guess there weren't really that many people signing up for clarinet, so.
And so what happened next? Where did you get your clarinet?
So I have an older brother, and he ended up playing alto saxophone. He's 5 years older than me. So when we got his saxophone, it was from Music and Arts. So I went to Music and Arts. My first model was a Yamaha. That's all I can really remember about it.
And what do you remember about the journey starting?
I remember liking it immediately, but I was like, I want it to go faster. Like I want to learn more like as fast as I can. I want to be able to play everything that I want to play. And I don't think it really clicked for me how much I like loved it until I learned how to get over the bridge, like and like play the higher notes finally. Because it didn't start until middle school when we started working on that. And I was like the only student who could do that at the time in my band. So I was like, okay, I'm good at this. I'm in. Um, and I would just practice for hours and hours, like every single day.
No
And
prompting required.
yeah, no, once I just figured out that that it's possible for me to like be good at this, I just wanted to be better and better.
Were your friends in band?
Um, Actually not really. No, my best friends were not in band. I ended up making best friends and because of band, but no, I just think it was like too expensive. Like it wasn't something that they could invest in at the time.
Mm-hmm. And so you were independent enough to do it without all your friends being there. That's kind of
Yeah.
You know, I've got my scientist husband playing clarinet, and he's playing in a community band out here on we call this the South Shore before you hit Cape Cod, the Rusty Skippers. He's graduated to playing second clarinet parts, but he just loves it. He goes up, he's got his office above mine, and he turns on a recording. He gets his band music for the summer season, and he finds a YouTube recording, pulls it down to 25% of the speed or something, and practices along. And he loves to talk about it's just a blast for him.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, I'm sitting here watching what everybody else in our entire globe should be doing. That it doesn't matter what you do for a living. You need to do something in the arts for your soul, for your spirit, for whatever you believe in, whatever makes you feel good. The way I felt good when I played something slow. Everybody deserves to do that. And of course, you and I, we want, we're going to root for music. But I'm sure there's somebody who can take some crayons and just go to town on it, or maybe they take some old clothes and they start cutting and they piece something together. It's just doing something in the arts would make everyone so much healthier.
The thing is about music, though, it is the rapid blowing into a wind instrument. It's a rapid connector between your heart and your head.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And that's why I'm such an advocate of trying, is because it makes you smarter and it makes you more congruous with yourself. It helps you
Yes.
forward.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, what was it that the book that came out some years ago, that people were having their babies listening to Mozart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but we both, without saying, we know plenty of cultures out there who understand this connection, and, they are doing it, and their students are monopolizing a lot of the youth ensembles in the Boston area because they realize the importance of having their child in music. The discipline, the organization, the love. The thing I'm talking about, even though they're going to go off to Harvard or MIT and they're going to do, biochemical engineering, whatever,
Yeah.
they still know that this is a vital part of life.
Well, that's what I think is fascinating about so many people I've talked to now, is that it's like 8th grade that these major decisions for life get made because of that feeling, that connection that
Right.
gives you. Now, that doesn't mean you can't get that feeling as an adult, because your husband clearly has that feeling.
He is doing it. So we moved to, Plymouth. I guess it'll be 3 years this summer. So we're about 45 miles from Boston. We wanted a house that, a brand new house that we could afford, not pay Boston prices. So that's why we're out here. And it's not a 55 plus community, but it sort of feels that way.